focuses you to do.
Did you think, because you sold it pretty early, how long did you do it from episode 1 until you sold?
8 months.
8 months.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think, if I can take this to 16 months, maybe it's worth 10 million?
It's a great question. No. Partly because I was very tired, and we were getting along so well, Lindsay, Adam, Jeff, and I. I go, well, how long can that last before Lindsay, who was just doing so well, gets an offer to go do something else? We're paying her, nothing. Because I only paid myself, because I thought that was important. And then Adam and Jeff are just so super talented at producing and editing and shooting the show. It's so fleeting. So no, we had tremendous input. Again, our space is filled with a lot of people with egos. And once we had this momentum going, money was being thrown at us to say, let's just go do it. But this is where math comes into play, and it may not apply to everybody, but you have to try to keep reason at times like that. It's not because you're doing something special. We had a very low valuation in terms of raising the money, so there was a lot more opportunity to sell. Once you go and do another round, okay, the math gets kind of crazy. So if you go raise, like PodTech raised $5.5 million, and that's absurd, okay? Because to get an exit, to get your VCs happy, you got to do something really good in the next 2 years. Otherwise, they're now on against you, and now the pressure heats up, and then they lose interest, and then the whole thing implodes, which is kind of what happens, right? Whether they do not, I'm just saying, those are just over-invested ideas. You could say that 600 grand was too much money, but it wasn't. We ended up not nearly spending the 600 grand, so I'm saying obviously it wasn't. But the point being, if we had taken on another $3 million thinking that we'll be worth $16 million next year, and we take on the money, Lindsay gets a job, Adam and I get in a fight, Jeff gets married, and then it's like wall naked because nobody shows up, it's worth zero. Bird in the hand, I'm a bird in the hand guy, and that's just how I operate. I think you really got to know yourself before you go into it and decide what that end game is.
So a lot of people here are actually the hosts of their own show. They do their own show. Mm-hmm. But you have others taking a little bit different route where they are creating almost a small production company, and so that if one show doesn't do so well, mm-hmm. it's not that they can switch over easily because they have other hosts or whatnot. What do you think is the right way to go there? Should we be the stars of our own show, or should we be the production company?
That's a tough one. I think there's no way I could be the star of my own show. I hate looking at myself on camera, and obviously I don't know how to do that stuff. Editing becomes, listen, Wall Strip is about the editing. I can sit here and talk for 2 hours or go in the street and film wacky stuff for all day, but it's how you cut it up in the end and how the context of what they do that made Wall Strip work, at least in CBS's eyes, let's say. So I think it's just what your talent is. I think your passion, if your vision is clear enough and you're a producer, you should be able to engage a host to say, buy into my passion, I'll do all the blocking and tackling, you to show up every day and read or shoot what I have to shoot. And so I would recommend that. Stick to what you're good at, and if you're passionate enough about the subject, you're going to be able to attract people. So if someone sends me a cooking show and says, Howard, work your magic on this show for us like you did for Wall Strip, there's no way. First of all, I don't know the subject. Second of all, I don't know who the bloggers in that space are that I'm going to try and engage. It's just too much heavy lifting for me. So, I'm a one-time wonder, mainly because I don't think I have it in me, and secondly, because I don't think I would try it again, because I respect how hard it is for everybody to know one subject, whether it's 20 years or 30 years that they've been doing their subject, or just 2 years, and I think the passion has to come through in your podcast or in your video blog. Otherwise, who would watch it?
All right, well, let's talk about the advertising. And when you get those first sponsors, you took a post-roll approach. It's at the end, and yet the first time I saw it, I kept watching. I normally probably wouldn't watch a post-roll, but I watched it because it was back and forth with Lindsay, and I thought that interaction was interesting and kept me engaged. It was purposeful to do it that way?
That stuff was testing. We were lucky in the sense that I've had investments in other companies. LifeLock was our first. You didn't run that show. But we tested with some companies that were willing to, let us, trust a 2-second pre-roll, little placements during the show, and then a post-roll. We did that with LifeLock for a week, and it was really successful in the sense that they had a product that fit with our market. They knew me, so they trusted me, and they let us do a little, LifeLock pre-roll, and then a little thing on the button on the bottom popping up throughout the show, and then a post-roll. So we were testing it. And I'm not sure which one works the best. I'm probably not the right guy to answer that. But Options Express has been really happy with the ads. And then now Dell is doing a product placement. We threw out the Apple computer, and Dell came in and over Lindsay's dead body, because she loves her Apple, we tossed it out the window.
And did you get some pushback from any viewers or listeners when you first started having ads?
Absolutely, and I think that pushback's ridiculous because we're a community, we're trying to make a living, but it passes. I mean, nobody's, if you're tuning in for the first time, you don't know why it's a Dell or why it's an Apple machine. I use a Mac, obviously, but if you got to pay the bills and it doesn't intrude on the integrity of the show. We weren't doing shows about Dell because their stock is not Wall Strip worthy. I mean, the stock is at $26 where we cover stocks.
Let's talk about that. But if you have a Dell computer, or you mention a product and it's sitting on the desk, you don't make any reference to it, but it's there, the logo's there, are you as the producer obligated to say that's that computer's sitting there because it's paid for?
Yeah, we spoofed the whole thing. We had to drag it out of Lindsay. It was a show, there was like 3 shows in a row where we were trying to convince her to get rid of the Apple. And so we try and work it in a funny way, and there were some funny shows with it. I mean, so yes, everybody knew we were switching, and this is why we were switching, because Dell was good enough to pay for that spot. And did it work for Dell? I mean, a lot of people, like the first day, were like 50 comments about Dell sucks, but and you're a sellout. But in the end, I mean, it took that was cool for Dell to do that. I mean, why should we just? Apple got a lot of free publicity out of what we were doing. Not that they didn't deserve it. I'm just saying, we have a business to run, and if it doesn't intrude from the show, let's do it that way.
Okay. I want to get to some attendee questions too. So if there are any
easy ones, please, easy.
Somebody over here. We've got a microphone coming. We're going to get recorded, obviously. So make sure.